Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. This is our presentation of what's new in Zoho CRM for winter 2024, taking a look at some of the exciting new features and functionality that Zoho's added in the last few months. For anyone who's not familiar with us, let me do a brief introduction. I'm Marshall Knapp, President here at AspenTech CRM. I've personally been working in the CRM field since 1999. And I've been a Zoho certified partner since 2014. Our company's been in the CRM space and related fields since 1994, so 30 years this year. We've got clients throughout North America, even a few global clients, and they're in virtually all imaginable industries. We're based in Novi, Michigan, which for any of you who aren't familiar with the area, we're in Southeast Michigan. We're about halfway between Detroit and Ann Arbor. We've got a team here of 7 full-time US-based consultants, trainers, developers, and support staff to help you get the most out of Zoho. Our agenda for today, of course, we just went through introductions. We've got an hour scheduled, so we're going to go until about 2 p.m. Eastern time. I'm going to mention something briefly about the features and the availability of some of these in various different types of accounts. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Then we'll dive right into the new Zoho CRM features, reviewing what's been new in the last few months, like I mentioned. Then we'll pop over to our Zoho demo account, take a look at some of these things live in action. We'll talk a little bit more about how AspenTech might be able to help you with some of these if you're interested. And then we'll have time for Q&A at the end as well. So as we go through the session today, please feel free to post into the question area. You'll see a little control panel down at the bottom of your screen. One of those is a little question mark icon where you can click to get into the Q&A. And if you have any questions that come up along the way, feel free to pop those in there. If we notice those as we're going and we can stop and take a break and address something while it's relevant there, we'll try to do so. Otherwise, like I mentioned, we'll certainly have some time at the end for questions. Let's go ahead and dive in. So first and foremost, a little bit of a disclaimer here. Not all of the features and new functionality or enhancements that you see today are going to be available in all editions. As you likely know, with Zoho CRM, there's a free edition, standard, professional, enterprise, ultimate, etc. And different features, different functionality can vary depending on the edition that you're in. So some of these are limited to some of those higher level versions, but many of the features and functionality that you'll see here today are available in all of them. Some of these are also, though, in early access. So even if it's available, say, for CRM Professional, and that's what you have, it might be in early access or a beta release still at this point. And when they're in early access like that, they may be doing a phased release to small subsets of users. They may be doing it by invitation only. They may be doing it by sign up only. There's a lot of different ways they can go about that. If you just contact us, which that's just a link to an email, and you'll get this presentation afterwards. If you just contact us, we can help you in getting access and sifting through that type of information. So if there's something you're interested in and you don't see it inside your CRM, just let us know, reach out. A quick email is all we need, and we'll dive in and see what you need to do to get that for you. All right, so starting with the new features and functionality, we're going to start out with automation and productivity. One of the new things they've introduced is customizable keyboard shortcuts. These are actually a personal setting for an individual user. It allows you to access features and functions in the CRM much more quickly and efficiently, especially if you're a keyboard person. So you can set that up in the keyboard or set that up in the personal settings area, and I'll show you a little bit more about that once we get into the live demo. You can also set workload limits with assignment thresholds. So basically what this does is it prevents individual users from being overwhelmed with too many assigned records all at once, like too many leads or too many deals, by allowing you to set a threshold in there. In addition, it can also periodically recalibrate assignments based on those same thresholds. As users work those, as things get reassigned, we may need to periodically recalibrate, and they allow you to do that. There have been some enhancements to saved filters as well. So these are in the list views inside of CRM. when you're working in a particular module like contacts or accounts. You have different views that are within there, and you can store or you can filter a certain view and then store those filters as saved filters. That's been there for a long time, the ability to save those. What they've added now, though, is the ability to save up to 10 of those. It used to be 5. And you can also reorder your saved filters as well to make those even a little bit easier to use, especially now that you have more of them. Another handy update is the automatic unavailability in CRM Calendar. This is something that now integrates with both Zoho Calendar, which is a separate app from Zoho for that brings a lot of different calendar functionality together, as well as Zoho Recruit, which is another app in the Zoho ecosystem that we use for recruiting and hiring new team members, potentially onboarding as well. And both of those can now sync with the CRM calendar to automatically note that you're going to be unavailable whenever there's something else scheduled in one of those other places. This is actually very similar to some functionality that Zoho released last year for Google and Microsoft calendar integrations, where you can either choose to synchronize the actual data between calendars, and push, real meeting data back and forth, or you can just simply mark yourself as unavailable based on the presence of an event in the other calendar. And we're now able to do the same thing with some of these other Zoho apps. There's a number of items that also fall into another category here for user interface and system design, or UI for short there. With subforms, we've seen a lot of improvements there. We now have aggregate fields, these are fields that show up basically at the bottom of a subform and allow you to use a mathematical formula applied to that column within the form. So you can do things like sum, average, minimum, maximum, things like that within those subforms. I will show you that when we get into the live demo, so you have a better handle on what that is. You can also utilize those aggregates in conjunction with some of the subform data. So you can aggregate conditionally based on some of the data in the subform, which is pretty handy, and I'll show you that as well. We can also upload files into subforms now. There's a file upload field type, as well as a user field type. Both of those have been added to subforms now. They also expanded the limit on fields within subforms. The overall number of fields for any one subform has increased from 10 to 25. And in addition to that, they've expanded the number of decimal, percentage, and currency fields within there from 10 to 20 to help support some of these changes as well. Within Wizards, we've also seen a number of enhancements there. There's a smart search field that allows you to easily look up other data within the system and perform actions. As an example, you could enter a zip code on a wizard for a customer, and the system could automatically look up providers that are in your system that match that zip code the moment you exit the field. And that's not using custom coding or any kind of developer time from a partner like AspenTech or anything like that. That's just an inherent feature now that's going to be built into Wizards here for you. They've also added layout rules to both the detail page and some other places inside Wizards. Better error handling inside Wizards as well now. And then over in Blueprints, they've added color and order preferences for Blueprint transitions. So basically, this allows you to color code those buttons that you use inside of a Blueprint. Let's say you want to set up a button in green to approve an order, or a button in red to reject an order. That makes it really easy to do so on a Blueprint. You can also reorder those buttons now really easily and put them in whatever order makes sense for you. We've also seen some really nice improvements to the timeline view. It now extends to 3 years. It used to be only 6 months worth of timeline data. We can also use the timeline to filter that data as well now. So you used to just have to scroll through it, or like do a Control F or like a find on page to try to find stuff. But now we actually have filtering capabilities. So that's really handy, especially with 3 years of data now showing there. Something we could expect in the future too is the ability to download up to 10 years worth of data there, but that's something Zoho is still working on. There's a couple other things we can do within the new timeline. We can add notes on timeline events. So you can actually have like a conversation around a timeline event by adding notes there, at mentioning colleagues, things like that. And then those notes actually show up over on the main records as well. So that's kind of interesting. You can also view interactions within the timeline. Interactions are things like phone calls and emails. Those are part of the history too, but you can also separate those into an interactions view. So more of kind of the filtering capabilities there. One of the interesting things with the emails is you can also see on those whether or not somebody was just simply sent that email, if they opened it, clicked on it, if it bounced, the status of the email is also now present in the timeline view. There have been some really cool enhancements to Writer, Zoho Writer, and the mail merge capabilities inside Zoho CRM lately as well. We now have the ability to mail merge to a fillable PDF form. So meaning you can take a fillable PDF, you can insert some merge data yourself from the CRM, but then you can hand that PDF to somebody and they can still use it as a fillable PDF, even though you've already inserted some of the data on their behalf. It's kind of handy. I don't know if that pertains to your particular industry or your organization, but if you have anything like that, you can certainly take advantage of that now. One of the other enhancements is that Zoho Writer and the mail merge capabilities are now available for the CRM inventory modules. So things like quotes and sales orders and invoices and purchase orders. You used to have to go into the setup and go into the inventory templates, which were more like HTML-based templates that were difficult to edit. Now you have the full editing and formatting capabilities of Zoho Writer to create templates for the inventory modules. So again, things like quotes, sales orders, invoices, and purchase orders. All of those types of things can now be utilized in mail merge with Zoho Writer templates as opposed to the previous more clunky alternative. We can also add image fields now to Writer and mail merge templates that we're creating with the CRM. And there's a number of enhanced formatting options that they've given us as well. You can actually see some of those on screen there with how you can group by different things, aggregate data, and also transform that data in a variety of ways now using Writer. Also been a number of improvements to email integration. Email addresses that are in custom fields can now be used in the email composition window. We've always had the ability to use the primary email. More recently, they gave us the ability to use the personal email, and now we have even more capabilities with custom emails to be able to utilize any of those within this email composition window. And you can see here, you've got 4 different emails for the same contact there. All email fields, including the custom fields, are now used for the email integration and for the emails that wind up being displayed on the related list. It used to be just the primary email, then we got the personal email in there. Now we've got all custom emails. So if you send or receive an email from any of those email addresses that exist on a contact record or a lead record, and you have your email integrated, you can expect that email from any of those different addresses to be visible then in the related list. Also added an ability now to go into a deal, and from any contact who's associated to the deal through the contact roles area, you can view the emails that have been sent to those contacts, and you can decide if you want to link any of those emails to that deal. That can be helpful as well. And then they've also given us the ability to customize the unsubscribe page that's used in CRM email templates. So if you are utilizing Zoho CRM to send mass emails of any sort, and you need to provide contacts with the ability to unsubscribe or opt out of those emails, Zoho CRM has for a long time provided those capabilities to do that. But now you have the ability to customize that page. You've been able to do that in Zoho campaigns and other mass email tools for a long time. Now you have the same capabilities inside, or similar capabilities inside Zoho CRM. So if you need to brand that page more specifically to your organization, you want to change the wording of how somebody's presented with that information when they land on your unsubscribe page, you have a lot of flexibility to do that now. There's a few more updates to the email integration. They also added a button to the accounts module, which provides you with a list of any of the related contacts, and you can send an email directly to them from there. The vendors module also supports email integration now. So in addition to leads, contacts, accounts, and custom modules, we also have the vendors module supporting email. Zoho has updated or enhanced the way we manage bounces. Previously, any bounce in the system would have been categorized as hard or soft, which didn't necessarily mean a whole lot to people. So now they're actually categorizing those as permanent or temporary. Permanent bounces would be like a total failure of an email address or a domain. It just simply doesn't exist. Whereas temporary bounces could be, somebody's mailbox is full, or there's some other temporary type of issue preventing you from being able to send them an email. And so with those temporary bounces, now they're allowing end users who have the send email permission to be able to unblock those temporary bounced emails, which is nice. And the system will eventually automatically and permanently block something if it's been had to be unblocked numerous times like that. But it's a lot better than it was, where these bounces were leading to blocks and then users couldn't do anything. We'd have to reach out to support. So there's a lot better way to manage those bounces now directly inside CRM. In addition, there's also a new email storage management area within the setup area of your CRM. So this is going to be available to both administrators and end users. From an end user standpoint, you can see utilization. From an administrative standpoint, you can not only see utilization, but you can actually take action to do some things there. Basically, Zoho CRM offers either 500 gigabytes of email storage or 5 gigabytes per user, whichever is less. And these new tools for the email storage allow you to better manage that amongst your users and provide better visibility into how they're utilizing that. If you're an admin, you have the ability to request that a user delete messages to free up space. You also have the ability to go ahead and just delete those messages yourself if need be. There's a relatively new feature in Zoho, I think it came out in the last year or so, called CPQ, or Configure Price Quote. And Zoho continues to add new features and functions to this as well. One of those new things is called guided selling. And guided selling allows you to create custom and interactive product recommendations while you're going through and building a quote. You could be doing that potentially after you talk to somebody on the phone or have a meeting with them, or you could be doing it live while you're on the phone. And I think that's in a lot of ways how Zoho intended this to be utilized. It guides reps or users of the system to choose relevant products for a customer based on customer needs or preferences. Also allows you to narrow things down by like color, by whether or not they have a warranty, who the manufacturer is, if they're applied to a certain region of the country or a certain gender or anything like that. You can filter your products now and be able to then select and choose the appropriate products for that specific customer while you're building that quote. In addition to that, we also have the ability to do some more with the configurator and some of our price rules, where we can add products automatically when another product is purchased. We can add those either as paid or as free. We can also choose whether or not we want to keep the quantity the same as the original product or have that quantity change dynamically with the product changes. So, if you add one and it adds a free one of something else, and you adjust the original to 2, do you want it to adjust the free one also to 2, or do you want it to leave it the same as 1? You have those types of options, and I'll show you a little bit more about how that works when we get into the demo. Also, some updates for users and security. From a homepage standpoint, we now have the ability to share multiple homepages with users based on roles and profiles. So they can access up to 5 homepages based on their role and up to 5 homepages based on their profile, giving them now a total of 10 homepages that they can access um, inside Zoho CRM. Now, those homepages and the dashboards also benefit as well from copy customization. If you've ever done that to create a new CRM instance, they are including those settings now in copy customization as well. Another nice addition is the filter criteria for user fields. You can basically, when you have a user field added to the layout, you can filter within that user field based on something like the user's role. So as an example, if you added a field called manager to the layout and you made that a user lookup field, you could easily have that list of users that it pulls up and provides to them to select from, limited to just those who are managers within the system. So a little addition to the groups area, that you can now see what groups a user is a member of right from the user's page. Zoho is also now allowing us to do custom domain mapping. That can be fun. It's not really necessary for a lot of organizations, but if you do want to customize your domain in Zoho CRM to be more unique to your organization, you certainly can. It might help with consistency throughout the organization, potentially with some other sites that you access or maybe some other apps that you utilize as well. It can potentially help with credibility too, by not, showing that you're utilizing an external vendor for this type of thing. Sometimes that can be beneficial, but not a big deal to a lot of organizations there. And then support access, that's kind of a fun one. Support access allows a user on your end to grant an external user access to the system for the purposes of providing support. Only one support user can be granted access at any given time. And you have to revoke that access before you could give it to another support user. Access to a support user is timed, so there's a date and time that it expires, although you can revoke access ahead of that. And when you add a user for support access, it does not affect your licensing in any way. I should have mentioned that at the beginning, but adding a user in this way does not affect your licensing in any way. So it's not like you're buying another license for somebody like Zoho Support or somebody like Aspen Tech to log in. This allows them to get in there, do what you need them to do, and then get out without really affecting your system in many ways at all. The other thing that's nice though too is that with support access, they do track changes just as if this was a regular user in the system. So if a user like this modifies a record, if they've done anything that would result in an entry into the audit log, you would be able to see all of that type of stuff as the support user being the one who did that. We also have a few more items here that fall under data administration. We now have copy customization for analytics in CRM or dashboards. Actually, that was something that came up on the previous one there too. We have data prep export to Zoho CRM, which if you're not familiar, data prep is a separate Zoho application it's included in Zoho 1 if you have Zoho 1. Otherwise, it would be something you'd subscribe to in addition to your CRM. But data prep allows you to bring in data from a variety of other sources, whether it's just a spreadsheet or another tool online like Zoho. And once you have the data in data prep, it can look for inconsistencies. It can help you clean up that data, and then it also helps you map that data over to your CRM. And the ability now to export that data directly from data prep into CRM is new and a very powerful function. If you are regularly bringing in data into your CRM, maybe you're going to trade shows and getting lists, maybe you have vendors or manufacturers that send you detailed lists that need to come into the CRM on a regular basis, whatever it might be, something like data prep makes that a lot easier now. And this direct integration is very powerful. There's also been some upgrades to the ability to, or how we export data from the CRM. It used to be we could only export up to 3,000 records at one time. Now we can export up to 200,000 records, so that's a substantial improvement there. When we go to export data from a module, we can apply filters, custom filters to the data that we're exporting, which allows us to sort of just pick and choose then which records we want to export. But in addition to that, we also have the ability to choose from a view within that particular module. And then when it comes to which columns or fields we want to include on the data we're exporting, if we chose a view, we can actually just use the fields from the view. We can use all fields, or we can pick and choose individually which ones we want. And these are some nice changes to the export capabilities that really will help a lot of users there. A new feature called Data Model for CRM. If you've ever looked at an ERD or Enterprise Resources diagram, that kind of shows how different tables in a database are linked together. That's basically what this is. You can see a small example of it there in the bottom right. I'll actually go through this in the demo too, though, so you get a better handle. Data migration, we can now migrate services and appointments. Those are just a couple of additional modules that have been added to the CRM, and previously they were not part of the data migration capabilities. If you're migrating to Zoho from something else, you could bring in virtually all of the other modules in CRM except for those couples. So they've added those now. And there's also been some improvements to our abilities to find and merge duplicates. One of the really nice things you can do now is specify which fields you want to use in your search criteria. Zoho had previously limited that, or basically set those fields for you. And you could choose from those if you wanted to ignore something, but you couldn't just pick and choose whichever fields you wanted to match on from the record. And now you have that ability. I'll show you that as well when we get into the demo. Speaking of, let's go ahead and jump over there. Let me exit out of here. And just before I get into the demo, real quick, if you do have any questions as we go along here, again, just feel free to post those in the Q&A area. There's a little question mark icon in the control panel at the bottom of Zoho Meeting or Zoho Webinar. Just click on that and it'll take you right into the questions area. All right, so this is Zoho CRM, of course. We are on the home page. One of the first things I want to show you is the keyboard shortcuts. This is something that's customized in the personal settings. So being that it's part of the personal settings, this is something that's up to each individual user potentially to do, okay? These are the personal settings then for, or keyboard shortcuts for Tracy Sorrentino, right? So I'm in here, and under these shortcuts here, you have all sorts of things that are already in here that Zoho's added that you may not have known what they did. They may have been here before, they may have added some as part of this, but here's a great way of seeing what all these various things do, okay? And you've got all these various shortcuts here, but you also have the ability to add shortcuts to something like switch tabs. So we added things for like go home, GH means go home, go to task, GT, go to meetings. You can do different things like that too. So all this can be very handy to customize, especially if you're a keyboard person. Um, this is kind of another example of Zoho showing us things that we didn't even think we needed in Zoho CRM that they're adding. So if you can take advantage of this, great. If not, that's okay. You don't have to. If you want to disable them altogether, you can do that as well. So if they're kind of getting in your way, if these are typical keyboard combinations that are taking you places they shouldn't take you, then you can absolutely disable these as well. But how I would utilize one of these, let's say I'm over in like class registrations and I want to go home. All I have to do is hit GH together on my keyboard, and it takes me to the home screen inside Zoho CRM. My mouse didn't move from class registration there. You can see it's still hovering right here, but now I'm on the home page. So you can do something like that. Another thing that's handy is if you're doing a lot of data entry, let's say you're adding a lot of new leads to the system, okay? So I go in and I create a new lead. Let's go ahead and just populate a couple of things here. Should be good enough. So we'll go ahead and save that lead. Oh, sorry. Hang on one second. I got to do that one more time. Create a new lead. Let's do this one more time here. So used to just saving these. Okay, I don't actually want to save it with the mouse. So let's say you're going through, you're adding a new lead, and you've got a lot of these to do. So you're just, you're in the zone, you're going through and you're adding these. When you get done adding one lead and you want to add another one, all you have to do is hit Control Enter to do save and new. So you don't have to go up here and click save and new, take your hands off the keyboard. You could just hit Control Enter, which will do a save and new. Oh, if I'm a duplicate email address, I got to correct that, but then I'll just do Control Enter again. And yep, now it saved that previous lead and then also created a brand new lead here for me to go ahead and start entering all their data. So that's basically the same thing as using the save and new button up here. Let's talk a little bit about the enhanced filtering. So here in the all contacts, you have a few saved filters. I've got 4 total filters here, so I'm not quite at that limit that we used to have of 5, but now that limit's been extended to 10. So we have the ability to add up to 10 of these saved filters here. And in addition to that, we have the ability to move these around and reorder them as we see fit. You can also go over here and just rename or delete them if you want to as well. The automatic unavailability in the CRM calendar. I mentioned that in the past, this has been updated to work this way with things like Office 365 and Gmail, where if you have something scheduled over there, you don't necessarily have to have the details of that syncing into Zoho CRM. You can have that come over and just show unavailable here. And now Zoho is starting to roll that out in other places as well, like with the Zoho Calendar app, as well as something like Zoho Recruit. Zoho Recruit's interesting because let's say, yeah, you're doing an interview for a new candidate for a job. You may not want everybody in your CRM to know that you're hiring somebody who might be their replacement, right? So if you want to schedule that interview in here, you certainly can, but without any worry that anybody in CRM is going to have visibility into that. So let's just go over to, let's say, Friday here. We're going to schedule a new interview. And this is going to be a phone interview that day at 2 p.m. That sounds good. Tracy will be our interviewer. The candidate here, let's just select them really quick. Barry is interviewing for a Zoho solutions consultant position. We'll go for an hour. All right, we'll save that. I'm not going to send him an invite. I don't need to do that. But now that's on my calendar here from 2 to 3 on Friday inside of Zoho Recruit. If I come back into CRM and I look at 2 to 3 on Friday, now I have unavailable here. You can click into that and you can see, okay, yep, it's from Zoho Recruit. It's a phone interview, but it doesn't show anybody like what position this is for or who they're interviewing or anything like that, okay? So it really helps maintain some of that privacy there. Take a look at some of the updates to the subforms here. I want to go into the catering module where we have some of that. And we're going to go into, let's say, district sales meeting here. And if you're not familiar with what a subform is, like this expenses area right here is a subform. It's taking a record within CRM, like this is in our catering module here, and then it's adding essentially multiple records as child items sort of within that one record. That's what a subform would do. So these are multiple expenses that all pertain to the district sales meeting here. If I go in and I edit this, you can see down here I can add new rows to that expenses subform or subtable here. But what I want to show you here is these aggregate fields. So these are new, the aggregate subform fields. And you have the ability as well to take things like type or the other categories within here and utilize those in conjunction with the aggregates. So like mileage and travel falls under a travel category. I can subtotal all those things together here. Or food falls under this food and other category. I can subtotal all of those together. So if I added a new row here for, let's say, mileage and travel, this is currently at $50 for the travel subtotal. Let's say this was for a rental car. No, let's say gas would do that. And then Tracy, we'll say that was $25. If I had a receipt, I could easily upload that right here. This is also one of the new features that they added, was the ability to do a file upload field within subforms. So if I want to add something or attach something, I can easily do that. They also added user fields in here too, so I can select a user if it needs to be approved by somebody, or they can approve it themselves, things like that. But you'll notice that my $50 in the travel subtotal now went to $75, just based on adding that mileage travel or additional item here. And that's one of the advantages to using something like an aggregate here. You can do sums, you can do averages, you can do minimums, maximums, different things like that. I believe there's a limit of 5 aggregate fields per subform. Let's take a look at that new timeline view that we have. Let me jump over to our friend Chris Huffman's record here. And in the timeline up here, same place it's always been, so you get to it the same way. You can go from overview or to timeline there. And then we have history versus interactions, okay? So history is going to be everything that you are accustomed to seeing in a timeline. But one of the big differences now is we have the ability to filter this. So we can go in and we can filter this by certain modules within the system. Maybe I only want to see notes. You can apply that filter, okay? And you're only looking at notes within here, so it really pares that down into just what you need to see. You can also filter by things like users, of course. You can filter by time ranges. You can also filter by the source of these changes. So did it come from, an external API? Did it come from an internal function that we wrote? Was it a user-based thing? There was stuff like that, So you can apply different filters like that and then whittle this down into just what you want to see. These are the updates that came from different functions on this record. So that can be helpful there. You also get this little area at the top called upcoming automated actions. That'll be part of like workflow triggers and stuff like that. Doesn't look like I have anything currently upcoming for this particular record, or that the system knows about, at least not yet. But you will see some things in here from time to time as far as upcoming automated workflow activity. You also have an interactions tab over here. Interactions are really phone calls and emails and meetings, those types of things. And it's kind of nice to see a view that just pares it down into those direct interactions that you have. It doesn't have all the other clutter from the history. So that can be useful as well. And then, of course, you can go in here and filter too. All right, looks like we got a couple of questions coming in here. Give me just 1 second to see if we could address some of those while we're hearing some of these features. Maybe a question: how well does the commerce section integrate with the CRM products? I believe fairly tight. Commerce and books tend to use the same or item sync with CRM, and so I believe that that would work quite well. But if there's any particular questions there, we can certainly address those for your unique situation. Is the new timeline feature not yet released? Let me check on the timeline one. Hang on just 1 second and see where we're at on timeline. And while I'm looking into that, I'm going to address another question here. Would the subforms allow the ability to select multiple products for a client to purchase with the ability to instantly charge for payment? Um, so if we're talking about having somebody, a user of your CRM, adding products to something like a quote or an invoice inside the CRM through a subform, and then uh, having that process of payment afterwards, yeah, it could be configured to do that. We could probably do the same thing with just invoices inside Zoho Books. But if there's some advantage to using CRM for that as opposed to the accounting system, it certainly would allow that type of thing to take place. And somebody noted they don't have an interactions button here. So, okay, so on the timeline here, history versus interactions. So some people don't have the interactions button. And it sounds like some people also might not yet see the new timeline. My guess is it's in a phased release, but let me just see if I can take a quick peek here. All right, I'm not seeing that right off the top of, or right. Oh no, I'm sorry. Here it is. All right. This was posted back at the beginning of December that they were opening it up to all partners and partner demo accounts, and then in a phased release to customers. So they're rolling through customers in a phased manner. If that's something you would want access to earlier than later, and you don't want to wait until Zoho has you scheduled to get it, or you'd like to find out maybe when they have you scheduled to get it, that is often something we can help find from Zoho's support team. Either you can reach out to them directly, or we can do that on your behalf. If you want to reach out to us, like I said earlier in the presentation, happy to help sort out, why you don't have something, or help you get access to it if you need it. And there's one more question here about where is timeline located. Timeline actually exists under virtually all of the records here. So whether you're in leads, contacts, companies, deals, most of these modules have a timeline view. So if you go into an individual record, like a lead here, up at the top, you have your typical view, which is the overview or the detail view here. And then we have timeline, which is next to that. I'm going to keep rolling through a few more of these new features and functions here, but definitely keep the questions coming. Thank you, guys. All right, so in the writer and mail merge area, let's go into one of the inventory modules, like something like quotes. So a quote, quotes module here, of course, allows you to add, individual line items to a document like this. It's basically a subform, but it's one that Zoho built as opposed to something that you would build on your own and customize for yourself. But the quotes module here now can be utilized with mail merge templates and writer. Before I show you what that looks like, actually, let me open another tab here with CRM and let me go into the setup, because I want to show you what the inventory templates used to look like here, or how you used to have to work with these. You'd go into customization and templates and inventory, and then these are the inventory templates that we used to have to customize in the past. And when we would open these, it's more like an email template editor where you drag and drop certain components like this in here. And there's a lot of things that you were kind of rigid when it came to the formatting of this. And really to get it exactly how you wanted it to, oftentimes you'd end up having to lean on somebody that knows HTML really well, and then they would go sort of behind the scenes and make some design changes to this sort of template. Now we have Writer, which is much more intuitive for the vast majority of users. So when we create a new template here in the mail merge area, we now have the ability to choose from the finance modules like quotes and sales orders and invoices and purchase orders. So when we have one in here already. Let me go back over here. This is a quote that we already have. So you would just go to mail merge like you would any other module you want to use a writer template with. We can go in there. You can choose from a list of all the available templates for this module, and then go ahead and merge that. It brings up the writer document, just like as if you were merging with a contact or any other record in the system. So go ahead and run your merge. And then the big difference here is, your output is from one of the finance modules, like a quote, as opposed to doing a mail merge with like a contact and creating something that looks more like a letter or a contract or things like that. You can also import PDF files now too. I think I mentioned fillable PDFs and being able to use those as templates. So you can combine those types of capabilities here as well. If you wanted to have a fillable PDF that is a mail merge document generated from a finance module, you certainly have the capabilities to do that. When I import a fillable PDF like that, if I go back into my setup here under templates, let's do just a regular mail merge template. Like, let's say I wanted to create, like in this case, I created a vendor W9. I don't even need to import this. I can just show you how it looks, but you can import a PDF template like this, and it will maintain the fillable nature of the fields that you want it to. But you normally wouldn't fill in somebody's W9 for them. But if you did have a fillable PDF that you wanted to have filled in some ways, you can see how I've merged some fields in here as part of this. And then if I downloaded this, it would have their information in there where I wanted it, but then it would leave the rest of the information fillable by them in the PDF. Let's take a look at some of the new email features that we have. So I'm going to pull up a contact here. Let's pull up Abby. Carol. So if I go to send Abby an email, and I'm composing this, now I have the ability to select from any of Abby's email addresses here that I have on the record. You can see them down here in the bottom left. But I can insert any of those emails into a message like this. In addition to that, all of these emails are going to be considered when it comes to the email integration for which emails wind up showing under the related list here on Abby's record. Because I could correspond with her on any of those emails. And if we have our email integrated, then we want those to show up here. So we've got that set up now. They've also added to the accounts module. If I go into like companies here, we'll pull somebody up. A send email button here that would, oh, I must not have any contacts there. Now let's add a new contact really quick. We'll put in an email address here, of course. All right, so if I'm on an account now, a company, not normally an entity that you would email, now you can hit send email and you go in here and you can choose from the related contacts who you want to email. So that can be helpful too. So you don't have to go to the individual contacts, but also so that you can send one email and be able to select from multiple contacts within the organization really easily. Over in the deals module, we now have the ability to bring in email messages from contacts that are associated in the roles area here. So we've got somebody like Amy here. You don't have any emails associated with this deal. But if I go to emails associated with Amy, oh, she doesn't have any there. Sorry, let me find a better deal for us to use here. Abby had some. Let me go back to Abby. Yeah, Abby's part of a couple of deals. There we go. Let's go in there. And you can see Abby's defined as a contact under here. As a result of that, we can go into the emails here and we can say, okay, which emails are associated with the related contacts? And I can go in and I can actually look at emails that are Abby's. Okay, and from here, then you say, okay, this email belongs on this deal, and I can link the deal to that email. And then I would be able to see those emails just simply associated with the deal right here. Now let's jump over to Zoho CPQ. We're going to go into our quotes module here. Oh, it's over here. And we're going to pull up one of these. So recall that CPQ is configure price quote, and it helps us build quotes that are tailored to a particular customer or prospect. You can use things like recommendations, through guided selling. We have the ability now to do bundling in here. There's a product configurator. There's a lot of capabilities within CPQ. CPQ in and of itself is not new, but the guided selling and the bundling is. So I want to spend a little bit of time on those. So we've got a quote here. If I go in and edit this, under guided selling, there's a button right here. I could see if anybody from a similar state or zip code also made purchases. So when I go in and I choose that, it asks me basically what is the mailing state of this customer, and I could put that in, or if I don't want to put that in, I could just put in their zip code. So I've got a customer on the phone. I say, what's your zip code? And I submit that. And then basically it's showing me all the products that were purchased by other accounts that are in that same zip code. So if you have any sort of regionality to your products or geographical based products, things like that, or maybe based on different seasons of the year, these types of things can be helpful. You can filter by geography like that. You can also go in and filter. Let's say somebody has a preference. We have a bakery or a catering company here as our demo environment. Let's say they have a preference towards products that are gluten-free, or they have a particular vendor they really enjoy things from. You can filter by those types of things too while you're in here. So I can say gluten-free is selected. Let's say we're not going to specify a manufacturer. These are all the gluten-free products. I can reset that and go back to here and say, okay, that didn't work out. Well, let's just say, maybe it's from a particular manufacturer. We'll submit that. Okay, these are all the ones there. Okay, yep, now I got the one that I want. Add that. So there's a variety of ways that you can use guided selling to get to the right products that you need to add to the quote in a much better way than you used to be able to. Because it used to be just one big list here. You start typing, you got to know the name of the product, and you could add that once you do. Or you go in here, right? You can look up, right? But again, you're searching by product name, product code, things like that. Or you're going through and individually filtering based on just these items that are in this list here. Guided selling really gives you a lot more capabilities to do that and sort of send a sales rep potentially in different directions based on the type of business you have and the type of things your customers appreciate. One of the other things that we can do here too, let me add a bagel platter to this. And when I add a bagel platter and save that, you'll see here, it's saying that CPQ made some changes and it wants me to review the following changes made by CPQ before saving the quote. Okay, so I can cancel this if I didn't want that to happen. But when I added the bagel platter and then I tried to save this, what the system did is it added cream cheese assortment, added it as a price 0 and with a quantity 1. Because we've configured a bundle here basically that says it's always going to throw in a free cream cheese with a bagel platter. And we just save that with the latest changes. Then, of course, we've got that in there now, and it's all included. You can set up certain rules. So like if I increase the quantity of bagel platters to 2 or 3, that it adjusts the cream cheese appropriately. Or if I wanted it to always stay at 1, regardless of what happens to the original quantity, I can do that. I can also make it a paid item, but that's required to be added on. There's a lot of different options you can use there when it comes to these things. All right, so a couple other things I want to show you guys here. Data administration. In finding emerging duplicates, let me pull somebody up here. Actually, let me just go into companies here. And one we wanted to use as our example here. Let's pull that up, sorry. No, we've just got a couple minutes left, so I'm just going to get through a couple of last features here, and then we'll try to address any additional questions that we have. All right, so we've got this company here, Zabitat. And if I go into find and merge duplicates now, Zoho used to give us a list of fields here that was static. We could not change the fields that were listed here. Now we have the ability to remove fields altogether from this list. We can also go in and we can specify different fields from the list of all the fields that we have within that module. So we have those capabilities here now to really fine tune our duplicate searching and how we find those. From there, though, a lot of it's very similar. So like if I were to take somebody like this, company starts with, I want to match all of this criteria. So we get these 2 dupes. From here, it's basically the same as what you always did. So no different there, just how you identify them, how you can search for them based on those fields has been changed to allow you to do that in a much more custom and unique way for you or your CRM instance. The exports module, I want to show you that really quickly here too. So if we go into any of these different modules, leads, contacts, companies, etc., we have the ability to go over here and go to export contacts. And now instead of 3,000, we can export up to 200,000. You're choosing your module here, although it's just defaulting to the one that I was already in. You can choose from a custom view if you want to, or you can base it on criteria that you create as you go here. You create your own query. So if you base it on a view, though, you can either do all fields from the view, or you can choose individual fields that you want to include. And then you click export. It'll spin for a little while, and then it'll eventually give you a link and a notification to download the export. And the last thing I want to show you is the data model here too. We'll cancel this export, but let me get over here. Data model, where's data model? Developer Hub. All right, so we open the model here. This is the data model. It can look very confusing. I'm going to zoom out here so you can kind of get the bigger picture of things. There's a lot of different things going in a lot of different directions, but kind of looks like spaghetti. But this is important because this is how your CRM is set up. This is how all the individual entities are related to one another. And you can hide different modules if you don't want to see them. Like, let's say I don't want to see users. I've got that one hidden on here. I can hide sales orders. I can hide meetings, things like that, right? You can search for different entities within there. There's some filtering abilities up here. You can filter by type of field. You've got some different options here too. Like developer mode's kind of interesting. If I zoom it back in on these, hang on, let me get back in there. These are field names right here. But if I change this to developer mode, then I get API field names, which is helpful. So pretty cool tool. Definitely would recommend exploring this if you're one of the administrators of your CRM or are interested in kind of seeing how things are put together and built. Yeah, it's a nice handy addition. So that's the last thing I wanted to show in the live demo. So I'll spend a few more minutes here on any questions if there are some. And but if you do have to run, we do appreciate your time. Let me just jump back to the presentation really quickly here. But again, I'll stay on for some additional questions as we keep going here. But just to wrap up really quickly here, if you do need assistance, we can help with getting you access to these, implementing any of these features, training you or your users on how they work, also providing support either after the fact or if you decide to go at it on your own and try to implement some of these things and you get into trouble or have any issues, we can certainly help you out there. So don't hesitate to reach out. If you need us, here's my contact information. You can go to our website as well. We have a help desk, ticketing forms, things like that too. So I appreciate your time today. I know it's the end of our hour. If you do need to run, please feel free. This is all being recorded, and you'll get a recording of this from the system automatically after today's session. I will also, in the next few days, send you the presentation along with another copy of the recording, just in a separate format, so you have that as well. So if you do need to run, again, thank you. Appreciate your time. But if you can stick around for a couple of minutes, it does look like there are some questions coming in. Thank you, everyone. Have a great afternoon if you need to run. Thank you. All right. Other questions that we still have here. Let me go back over there. Yes, we're posting a recording. Can you make products, or can you edit products, make product edits in data mode? So let me get out of here actually, and we'll go take a look at that. Get back into our environment here. Let's get out of the data model. So I think you're talking about if we're inside of a quote, can we make changes to the products like while we're in here? So when you go to add a new product here, you do have the ability to create a brand new product if you don't see what you need from the list here. So that is an option where you can add something new to this. You can't really edit the existing products from here other than, you can modify the list price for this particular quote or some of those other details that you see off to the right here. Outside of that, though, you can't really edit the existing product when you're in there building the quote. From that point, you'd want to back up and go into the items or the products module. Is guided selling included with CRM Enterprise, or is it a separate subscription? That would be part of CRM Enterprise. So if you don't see it yet, they probably just haven't gotten to you yet, or there's something we got to do to get you early access. But that's definitely going to be there inside CRM Enterprise. There's a clarification on the question regarding the product edits in the data mode. And I don't think I'm getting it. So where I was, where you were in the data section. You can post something else there, maybe to help with a little more clarity on where you want me to go. I might be able to do that. Otherwise, let's just connect offline and I'll help you out there for sure. If there's any other questions, certainly feel free to keep posting. I can stick around for a few more minutes if you guys would like. If you do need to run, though, again, really appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us. I hope you found this helpful, and I hope you have a great rest of your day, rest of your week. Okay. So the question about the edits had to do with when I'm in the data model. So can you make modifications to the system when you're in the data model here? No, this is just a diagram here. I don't think we can change anything. We open module configuration, that'll take us to the setup area where then we can start making some changes around that particular module. We can't make any changes directly inside of here. Thank you for clarifying. I'm glad we addressed that. Doesn't look like there's any more questions coming in at the moment. If you do have more questions about any of these features or functions, you do know where to find us, and we'd be happy to help you out in any way we can. So again, thank you for your time. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Enjoy the rest of your week as well. And if you need anything at all, don't hesitate to reach out. Take care, everyone.